Please welcome Ignacio Esteban once again. Is a returning guest. He comes on every season, and he's a former ATF agent. Now he's an author. He's got over 70 books, and we're going to talk about the Bloods, Crips, and the murder of Tupac Shakur. Welcome,
Thomas, what's going on, brother?
man. It's
What season is this? Number six, seven,
season five.
five. Awesome, man. I appreciate being on every one of them.
Yeah,
Pretty cool stuff.
yeah.
And,
You've
and
been
you
on every
also,
one.
yeah, we do great interviews, and we also do you do great audio shorts too. You read the book earlier, I heard. What's your thoughts about it?
I think it's incredible story, and it's crazy that it's taken 27 years
Mm,
to for anything to happen. Like I remember when I was a teenager and the internet wasn't that big, but we sort of like kind of knew what happened. Like he got into a fight. It's like obviously it's those guys, and then how come nothing ever happened?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll talk about the events that happened there on September 7th,
yeah,
1996, and what transitioned and what the events that happened earlier after the Mike Tyson fight right there, the MGM Grand at the lobby, the brawl that broke out, and then what happened after that, and the players that were involved is fascinating, fascinating. But I'll give your audience a little background on Tupac, right, in case they don't know much about him, and then we'll get to those events there. His life is pretty fascinating. His family members were Black Panther members. His mother was a Black Panther member. His dad was also a Black Panther or other Black Liberation Army, other Black militant groups that were out there in California, or they were in New York at the time. But the Black Panthers were very prominent in California also. He was born in East Harlem. Interesting enough, his mother was tried as a Black Panther in a major trial in New York City when she was 8 months pregnant. 8 months pregnant, and
yeah,
she's acquitted on all these different counts. Other family members are convicted, but she's acquitted, and that's a big thing that's impacted her because originally his name wasn't Tupac. His name was Lassane Parish Crooks
yeah.
was Tupac's original name, right? But
Wow.
a year later, she decides to change it to Tupac Amaru.
Yeah,
Tupac Amaru, named after a Incan ruler, right? Probably the last one who led a revolt against the Spaniards in Lima in 1781. He was executed for that revolt, and her
wow.
message was to her son, I guess, was that people of color not only suffer in the United States, but she wanted to name him after an indigenous person who suffered in another country in their own, and it's okay to stand up against the power, against the system,
Yeah,
even though you might lose, it's okay to stand up against them. So that's why his name was Tupac, named after the Spanish emperor or the Inca emperor there, Inca Amaru II, 1781. I thought it was pretty interesting. That kind of
yeah.
molds, it gives you an idea of what kind of person he is and how it molds his life and where he goes into it. But she unfortunately, he gets involved, I guess, into the arts. She has a drug addiction, and they move because he's born in the early 70s, same year I think I was born in, and they move to Baltimore area, and that's where he gets enrolled in the School of the Arts. So he studies dance, ballet, drama, acting, music. So he gets cultured in that sense, and that kind of inspires him down the road, where later he gets involved, obviously, into movies and hip hop and everything else, and becomes very influential in the 90s. I
Yeah.
mean, he becomes a pretty big name, him and also Biggie, right? Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G. become big names, and they become even though they were friends, everything I see, they has them as rivals, East Coast West Coast rivalry, right?
Yeah.
Between Death Row Records with the Suge Knight and Bad Boy Records with Sean Combs, right? P Diddy later be known as, no Puffy. I think in the 90s he was known as Puffy Combs back then, and that'll be a rivalry. But it seemed everything was these guys were not really enemies. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, Biggie wanted Tupac to be his manager
Wow.
and in the 90s, and he told them they were even sing together, rap together, and everything else, right? But he's saying, no, I think Combs is better off for you to help your career.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, both of them will be dead months apart in a shocking way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty crazy because they're pretty young too.
they're guys in their 20s, almost early to mid 24. I think that one was about like mid to late 20s, right?
Yeah.
Tupac, he was successful, did movies, I mean, these guys will go platinum, right, with their records, diamond later, afterwards, and music extremely popular. But there was the issues going on, and one of the big issues that kind of started this rivalry was before this incident in '96 and '94. Tupac is already having legal issues. He's been charged with sexual assault, and he's in New York City in Times Square, and at the Quad Studio, he comes in to cut I guess to sing a track, right, for his
Yeah.
album, right? And when he gets in there in the lobby area and you look at the video, all this stuff, which is cool, you can look piece by piece, which I do when I wrote my book, all the different videos that are out there. And he gets ambushed in their lobby. He takes a beating and gets shot 5 times, 5 times. And then he's taken to the hospital, and the doctors, surgeons want him to stay longer, right?
Yeah.
But he checks himself out because
Wow.
he has a trial date the next day, and he wants to know if he's convicted or not on the charges that he's been tried on, which he was.
Yeah.
Those events will eventually let him to go with Suge Knight, Death Row Records, because he can't make bail. He doesn't want to sit in there after that conviction so long. So Suge offers him 1.7 million to get out, but in return, he's going to have to sign with him and his record label, which I think is kind of interesting. How he ends up getting tight with Suge Knight, which he himself is a character, and everything you look about Suge Knight, he was pretty much ruthless. He was a big guy. He played college football, I think, at UNLV, which
Yeah.
is University of Nevada, Las Vegas. He could have played professional ball, but he decides to become a promoter and take this route, which and he brings those kind of tactics. If you haven't seen, I'm going to change the topics a little bit. And there's a lot of videos out here. If you haven't seen the interview between, if you look at Vlad, I don't know if you're watching Vlad TV,
Yeah.
him with Vanilla Ice, and Vanilla Ice talking about being the shakedown he took from Suge Knight after Ice Ice Baby came out, and he was
Yeah.
like in early 20s, and he pretty much forced him to sign, or else with a security team in his hotel room that was waiting for him, pretty much almost implying that he was going to shake him off the balcony, right? If he didn't, and out of fear for his life, he signed millions of dollars over to Death Row Records, which gives him enough liquidity to sign, obviously, Tupac. He had other Dr. Dre, right, at the time, even though he would leave later. He had other big names there, Snoop Dogg. So that led Death Row Records in the '90s. They were big for hip hop,
Yeah.
and they had some big names. But according to Vanilla Ice, some of the reason why, because he got a lot of his money, that kind of he kind of extortion scheme. He kind of extorted him, said, with his security, and he had a security team with him, and he was gonna. They fear for their lives too. So these guys don't play.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
These guys don't play at all. So that's how So he survives an attempt there, and going to Tupac again. He believes that Sean Combs, right, and B.I.G might be behind this
Yeah.
of the attempted murder that happened there, because they kind of wrote like "Who Shot Ya." There was a song that came out afterwards, and they started going back and forth about that, kind of like rubbing in his face type deal. So he kind of takes it personal. He writes another song. So the rivalry then becomes, I think, real.
Yeah.
Then there's some animosity between these guys, right? And then you go to September 7th, '96, the famous day where he's killed. And you look at the Tyson fight. I guess he was a guest when I was looking at an interview with Mike Tyson. He did, and he kind of felt bad because these guys talk about everything. So and he felt bad because he was his guest. He invited these guys over to Death Row Records, and I guess he was even listening to some of Tupac's music when he's going into the ring. You know how these guys have it. So he was a big fan. And if you look at the video, Tupac was impressed with the fight. Tyson knocked the guy out. He comes out, right, and
Yeah.
he is pumped. He's like all riled up and everything else. And they're at the MGM Grand lobby, right? And that's when Trevane Lane sues Ahmaud Pyru. So give your audience a little background to give these guys more, at least Suge Knight, more authenticity, street creds, as you say. They really got close with the mob Pyru Bloods out of the Compton area. Well, one of the biggest rivals out there is Southside Compton, Crips. They're in that area. So Bloods and Crips type rivalry there. So Trevane Lane was a mob Pyru who's tight with Tupac, said, hey, there's Orlando Anderson, Baby Lane, right? These guys robbed us of one of our medallions or assaulted us back in Lakewood Mall a few months earlier in the summertime, right? So Tupac's already, you can see the video. He's pumped up out there, and he confronts him, and all of a sudden it's on. They give this guy a beat down. And he's a Crip. He's a hardcore gangster Crip, right? Southside Crip. These guys don't play, and this is their rivals, and they give him a beat down, humiliating him at the lobby there. Big mistake.
Yep.
Big mistake. So they like I said, you go online, you see Vlad, and you see some of these other guys. Dwayne Davis, right, which is the uncle of Anderson, right there. Baby Lane himself doesn't take well that he's an OG, right, and he thinks no, this is not acceptable. And according to him, I mean, he says all this stuff in interviews, and he would proffer later to some of the stuff. Later changing, he writes a book later called Street Legends of Compton, where he would change the story. But during his proffer session, 2008, with the feds and local authorities, he said that, and again, a proffer, you have to be truthful. You're given immunity to be truthful. And I've done a lot of these proffers with defendants, whereas you get one chance, your day to be king, where you can talk about everything you've done, but you have to be truthful what you said. And he wrote these events that's come out. This is how it happened. That these guys were waiting for Suge and Tupac at their club, which is 662, which stands for mob. 662 is, if you look on a phone, it's MOB, which is money. It means money over bitches, which is what they say it stands for. And they say it's also for the mob Pyrus.
Wow.
So those are the things to think about with that. But because they were taking so long, they lost patience. But they had their weapons already. He said they already had all their tools they needed, meaning all their guns for the fireworks, right? But they were waiting. It would have been a massacre, I think, at the club. It wouldn't have been just these two.
Yep.
So these guys are running late. The traffic is bad. They lose patience. According to Davis, there's a proffer and everything else. They go towards, just start driving the Las Vegas Strip, and they happen to see the black BMW. The only reason they picked up on it because Tupac is pretty much in the passenger seat, Suge Knight's driving, and he's out there, his head out there waving at different females to get their attention. So they picked up, they see him at nighttime. This is like 11 o'clock at night, 11:15 is dark, but they pick him up on it and they say, okay, it's time. So they turn around, they pull up next to him near Flamingo, right? And all of a sudden he pulls forward. He said he would have taken the shot, which is Davis, which is Kiffy D, his street name. But Anderson is in the back seat with Dre. He passes them the gun. Anderson, because he got the beat down with a 40 caliber Glock pistol, opens up and shoots 4 times Tupac, and Suge gets hit from some fragments in the head, but he survives. That's interesting there. Yeah, but you would think soon after the shooting there, and pretty much near the Strip right there, almost near the MGM Grand, that police would have been able to move faster to arrest this guy, right?
Yeah.
Not 27 years later. They're in the white caddy. They pretty much in a shootout. They drive back. There's witnesses there, and according to them, they just went back to the hotel. It's not like they went back to Compton to escape the area. They spend the night, which is crazy. And then they just woke up in the morning like nothing. They partied, they drank, they bragged about it. According to him, they had a good time, and boom, they went back to Compton, which would lead to 10 days of hell, according to authorities, with a blood Crips war between the mob Pyrus and the South Side Crips and other groups going to war over killing Tupac. The Tupac would die days later from this. Suge Knight survived the attack, and he would die days later. According to Davis, he said Suge recognized him, and they knew each other because they used to play Pop Warner football together. And Suge Knight was recently interviewed by TMZ over the because he's he's been incarcerated. He's going to do like 20 some years. He said he didn't hear much, but he did see Anderson there because they knew each other from playing Pop Warner football. So all these guys know each other. They grew up in the same areas, and they're but because they take different affiliations or comes with money or territory, whatever, it gets twisted.
That's crazy.
Right? And they go after each other and they kill each other. So a legend like Tupac, dies because he got caught up in the moment. It wasn't really his battle to get involved in, but he's pumped up. You can see the video. He's pumped up from the Tyson fight, and he wants to give someone a beat down. He's not a real big guy himself. He has his crew out there. He feels empowered, but he hit the wrong guy because Orlando Anderson is a killer, is a murderer, Southside Crip murderer, right? And they have their reputation to uphold, and these guys, they're not going to put up with that. So they want to teach these guys from Death Row Records a lesson. You're messing with the wrong guys, right? And that's what they did. Suge was lucky to survive. He wasn't for that. The way it was angled, that according to reports, everything out there, Tupac's in the passenger seat. He kind of gets up this way, and he kind of is blocking the rounds. He's taking all the rounds, while Sugar just gets some fragments in the head. So he ends up surviving, and Tupac is taken off life support. His mom makes a decision, doesn't look good for him, and then he passes like 5-6 days later, and it's his career comes to an end. And then a few months later, I mean that happens in September, right? The following year in March, right? One of the rivals, supposedly rivals, B.I.G, right? Biggie, Christopher Wallace, which every indication was they really were really, they liked each other, they were friends, but it's more the other two, Combs and Suge Knight didn't like each other, and they're the ones that had the beef, right? He was gunned down in public, similar to what happened to Tupac, but this time wasn't Las Vegas.
Yep.
Downtown Los Angeles, right? An extra museum. After a late after evening party, right? They had gone to get an awards. They were having a party. The fire department had shut down the party from being overcrowded. There were two Suburbans. It was funny. B.I.G was in the first one with the driver. He's in the passenger seat, and the other one was the second one with Puffy with his security team.
Yep.
But that's separate. They're separate cars, two black Suburbans, and a black Impala pulls up next to B.I.G, right? Biggie's, and pulls up, and it's in a blue suit, according to reports, and he's wearing a blue bow tie, and he has a blue steel 9mm, and opens up, and he gets shot, and he takes off in the black Impala. Again, no witnesses, really unsolved for almost 27 years now. Unbelievable, unbelievable things. And he dies a few hours later. He takes his rounds and ends up his life. Very similar to Tupac. The thing that I found in common, doing this research, that Dwayne Davis, Kiffy D, he was at both locations, right?
Yep.
He was in the car, right? He admits he was in the car. He provided the weapon, and he pretty much orchestrated the killing of Tupac for payback, right? According to the proffer, and according to his own words, right? He will later change it in his book, and I'll talk about that later. What he says now, what happens, which is going to be a problem for him in trial. But he was at that after evening party during that night. They had also Bloods and Crips there, so that's interesting. If there was something involved, Suge Knight maybe said, "Hey, to make things right." There's people said that maybe there was a hit put on by Knight to kill Combs, perhaps, but it was Biggie that got killed. B.I.G. I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there for those who've been following this.
Yeah.
Who knew what? No one says, like, and especially in the street code there, a lot of these guys don't talk, especially the police. They don't want to cooperate. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. Suge Knight knows who shot Tupac.
Yeah.
When he tells TMZ he doesn't know or doesn't want to cooperate, that's not right. Yeah, it's crazy. But he's a killer. I mean, he ran over those two guys, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But that's the issue with him. If Davis would have kept his mouth quiet, if he wouldn't have talked, he pretty much talked himself into prison, into jail, at least right now, being indicted and being arrested by authorities, because he kept on talking about it. He had a proffer, and he kept on telling the story online. You can just go in, if you guys want to, just type in his name, on YouTube or wherever, and you're going to see all the interviews he's done and all the stuff he's talking about. And then on top of that, he moves to near Las Vegas and Henderson. He pretty much shamed these guys to arrest him. I mean, I'm in your backyard. I'm talking about it. What are you going to do about it? Well, finally, they moved on it. After his book, after everything else, they end up doing search warrants at his house under his girlfriend's name or wife's name. I don't think they're married. And they find his laptop, his book, and other things about the Tupac murder. And then in September, they get a jury, a grand jury to indict him, and he gets arrested.
Wow.
27 years later.
That's and to talk himself into it. Yeah.
If he would have kept his mouth shut, they wouldn't have happened, because these guys weren't talking. So he's talking about it. He did a proffer about it. He admitted, because he was looking at serious charges for a drug conspiracy and racketeering, and he was looking at a lot of time. And they had this task force set up to try to solve the murder of Biggie, and which would lead to maybe solving Tupac, but ended up solving Tupac's and still not Chris Wallace's murder yet, which is pretty interesting. They gave him a proffer, and he came clean. If you don't come clean, this is the problem that he has now with his defense. His book now says that Tupac was armed and he was strapped, and he pulled a gun on them when they pulled up. And they're saying,
Yeah.
he's saying now it was self-defense. And that's why he, in his words, the fireworks started, right?
Yep.
And Anderson started shooting and the fireworks started. Well, when authorities came out, there was no gun found there with Tupac, right? Nothing like that. So, and no one's ever said Tupac's other witness never said Tupac ever had a gun. So he's trying to change the story now. So if he testifies and says something else, well, I think cross-examination, they can bring up the proffer now because now it's fair game. They couldn't
Yep.
use it against you, but now they can. So
Wow.
I think justice will be served, and Dwayne Davis, I think, will eventually get convicted, even though he has a good defense attorney, and it's been a long time. I think this proffer at the end will bite him in the ass,
Yep.
and I think he will end up getting hopefully life sentencing in conviction for what he did. So that part there, his book and his life with him is interesting, and all the players around it. I mean, you look, and there's no one else. Anderson himself would die in a gang violence shootout in '98.
Yep.
With rival, he's a Crip with a rival gang in Compton over a drug dispute, a territory dispute. So he dies. I mean, that's also out there. The other guys in the car are also dead. So the only two left, really, you got Davis and Knight.
Yep.
From what happened in that
Sugar will
incident,
never talk, I think.
Suge won't talk unless they gave him something to help him with his time. He is looking at 28 years,
Yeah.
right? And those haven't seen the video, go online, type Suge Knight's video running over two guys in his vehicle.
Yep.
Unbelievable. It's tough to watch,
Yep.
but that's the reason why. It was a hit and run, a dispute, and he ends up getting 28 years. He pled to that because he was afraid he was going to get life. He's thinking he's going to get out earlier. And he's had a history, like we was talking about Vanilla Ice.
Yep.
And they were saying with Tupac and other ones, no one liked working. Dr. Dre left because they don't think he was fair. They think he was stealing and not doing things the right way. And they start
Yep.
their own record label, right? They move on and
Yep.
everything. And Death Row Record was defunct by I think 2004. And of course, Bad Boy Records with P. Diddy, Sean Combs, right? He's having some issues now, civil
Yeah.
lawsuits, one after the other settling, and they're coming out of the woodworks now, one after the other. 50 Cent's giving him a hard time, right? If
Yeah.
you listen to 50 Cent talking about it, he said, "Oh, you settle one, here they come. You
Yep.
settle one, here they come." And the latest one was allegedly the females back in 2004 was 17 years old in high school. He sent one of his planes to pick her up. They got her drunk and they sexually assaulted her, raped her. So he has some big finance. This might be the end of his businesses and all his sponsors. That he had quite a few.
Yep.
They're leaving. This could be the end of P. Diddy now, also financially. A lot of interesting things. That's why I felt compelled. I wasn't a huge Tupac fan back in the 90s. I was in college and then customs at that time when all that happened. So obviously
Yep.
I'm working a lot and making the big seizures, which I talked about in other shows. But I found this whole thing compelling enough to research it 27 years. And then when you can look at all the videos out there and you can start piecing together. And I said, did Davis really say all that? And I said, man, he really came on these shows, talked about him they're strapped. They have the piece. He passed it. They want to kill more I mean, it's like, wow. And then he did a proffer. It's like, man, you pretty much wanted to go to jail.
Yeah. Insane.
Common sense. I mean, especially this guy who's an OG common sense man in the street. You don't talk about that,
Yep.
but I guess he felt he was untouchable because the proffer only applied to that session.
Yep.
You start talking about outside the session. Well, maybe we start verifying other things we can use against you.
Yep.
And then you start lying about it. You write a book lying about the proffer. Well, then that's a big problem there, Thomas.
Yeah. Do you think it's because he started making him look bad, constantly talking about it, that they're, oh, we got to do something about him now? Like, we need to.
Yeah, I think so. I think that he shamed him too. I mean, because the proffer in 2008, and they don't make an arrest until this year in September, right? A lot of time in between. He wrote the book in 2019,
Yeah.
so you still have another 4 or 5 years in between. So it took them long enough, at least to get the search warrant going. And I think they found enough things with the search warrant, contacting. I don't know if you ever watched Pierce Morgan, Thomas.
Yeah, I like Piers Morgan. His show,
Yeah,
yeah.
he interviewed Vlad because that interview was critical that he did on his show
Wow.
about Dwayne Davis. So if you watch that interview, it's pretty fascinating. He didn't want to get caught up on this. He kind of feels like he's caught in the middle, but he's caught up in this. He might be a
Yeah.
witness in the trial.
Yeah, because I've
So
seen a lot of comments that the people constantly like Vlad solved the Tupac murder.
yes, yeah, he helped put it together. Now he wasn't the only one that this guy talked to about, and there's other shows out there that
Yep.
he's talked about this stuff too. And of course his book didn't do him any favors either.
Yeah.
Obviously he puts himself there. He admits he's there.
Yep.
Suge Knight says he's there, right? Now of course the attorney was saying his defense is, there's no witnesses. Well, I think witnesses will come out,
Yep.
and there's no gun. Yeah, maybe there's no gun, but I imagine they still have the casings. There's still
Yep.
evidence out there, and they have his own statements that he used in a proffer. I think he's in trouble. I
Yep.
think Davis is in trouble there. And the key is, what's the connection with that and with Biggie? We'll see if Davis had anything to do it, or Suge Knight. I think one of the
Yep.
two guys are alive. One of those two knows a lot more about that than
Yeah.
they want to say.
Yeah, I think definitely one of those two. I think Keefe D might have just slipped up because he thought he had the proffer. Maybe that's why he wasn't talking about Biggie, and he probably thought he was safe talking about Tupac.
And maybe didn't realize, I was the one that shot him. Doesn't matter. You're part of conspiracy.
Yeah.
You're aiding and abetting, and you collaborated, you plotted, and no, you're in a conspiracy to kill this guy. You're in one, you're Hardin, Compton street gang, Southside
Yeah.
Crips, right? And they got to them, and and he said he used to go a lot of Tyson fights too, and they've been going there for a few years. Tyson was big in the '90s.
Yeah.
Remember, Tyson was in the late '80s and '90s. He was a big name. MGM Grand. Everybody loved to go to the fights. If you have been in Las Vegas, that's where they have some of the premier fights. Some greatest champions were fighting, and this guy, and expensive seats, right? So
Yeah.
these guys made money. That's
Bad
why he
money.
was, yeah, he was looking at some serious charges, drug conspiracy charges, and racketeering charges. People don't know, what do Bloods and Crips make money in?
Yep.
It's a lot of drugs. It's a lot of crack cocaine, extortion schemes, right? Armed robberies, bank robbery, and any way they can make money, they'll do it. And of course, on top of that, they're also ruthless for the territory, and they have to have their reputation. If they feel like they've been disrespected, like Anderson did, right? Orlando Anderson, then they're gonna take care of business. They don't care they're in Las Vegas. So, and in essence, I said what killed Tupac wasn't the East-West, rivalry, hip hop rivalry. It was the Blood Crips rivalry. That's why it's called Bloods, Crips, and the murder of Tupac was the Blood Crips rivalry from Compton that spilled out in the streets of Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. And Tupac paid the ultimate price. And later, B.I.G. would also. Yeah. These guys are ruthless. And, you watch the interview with Vanilla Ice, too, all the stuff he says about Suge Knight, man.
Yeah.
Wow, I couldn't imagine being in my early 20s. And you walk, and this is according to him, and he walks into a hotel room, and he was pretty popular, Ice Baby, right? That was a very popular. I was in college when that came out in '90.
Yeah.
Huge song, and he walks in there, and who's waiting inside his hotel room is Suge Knight and his armed security team. Well, I'll get your attention, and he pretty much shuts his security team down like nothing and takes him outside of the balcony. Now it's disputed, did he really hang him over the balcony or not?
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice said he didn't hang him over the balcony, but remember, Suge's a big guy,
Yeah.
a lot bigger than Vanilla Ice, right?
Yeah.
And but I imagine he got in his face, and he pretty much said, "You're going to sign this, and this is what I'm going to get out of you." He Shook Knight gave him a good. He pretty much gave him a shook down and extorted a lot of money out of him.
Yeah. That's
But
pretty
Vanilla said,
shit.
I think he said I made the right decision. I think he probably would have thrown him over the balcony. So he's alive. He still made good money. Something I have common sense, not to be too greedy. Sometimes that I better walk away from these guys. These guys don't play, and especially when you're tied in with all these gangsters. When the
Yep.
gangster is security for you, dangerous people. These are
Yep.
dangerous people. And he had no problems running over these two people. I mean, you look at that video, he had no
Yep.
problems running over these guys. These are
Yep.
not good people. These are not. So I wouldn't doubt it that he put a hit on BIG for
Yep.
whatever reason. That could be possible. But we don't know yet. We don't know.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if it all comes out like during
Yeah.
this trial and stuff too.
No, it's all. I think those who don't know, I think my book's good because
Yep.
it gives people who really don't have a good grasp how things played out. A little background on Tupac, a little background all the players involved, and how did we get here to their arrest? Because that's what I found interesting was a homicide that was unresolved for 27 years.
Yep.
47 took a lost team really quickly in the last 6 months, and just like that, boom,
Yep.
Davis. And you can see when they arrested him and everything, he's very cooperative. But
Yeah,
he's
he like when they put him up against the car, like, and
Iffy
he's
D,
asking for his water and stuff. Yeah,
Iffy D, and that now he's locked up. So let's see. I think the trial is supposed to start in the summertime, so
yeah,
it should be a fascinating trial to watch.
yeah, definitely. Do you think all the people, like all the women coming out speaking out against like Diddy now, is connected somehow? Like it's
Different time period.
yeah,
I don't know if they're connected to this. It could be, maybe more will come out. I mean, this is 2000s. I
yeah,
mean, I know that it appears that a lot of them is almost similar to Bill Cosby, right?
yeah,
They start all coming out of the woodwork also. It seems like he may have that whole situation going on too. There's a lot of stuff going on. You know, when you're dealing with these guys, and sometimes they're tied in with really shady people.
yeah,
You know, that's what happens. So I'm kind of fascinated. But once you settle, like 50 Cent said, once you settled, it's on.
yeah.
And all people that were sponsoring him and advertising with him, they're gonna go bye-bye.
They don't want to be affiliated.
No, not at all. Not with that guy anymore. Nobody wants to be affiliated with I mean, he's said already with
Yeah,
maybe an alleged rapist. No way.
yeah,
No way, Jose.
yeah,
So interesting characters all falling the dominoes of Death Row Records, the Battle of Death Row Records, and Bad Boy Records, and Bloods and Crips, and the '90s. All the actions in the '90s getting resolved now in 2023.
wow. Yeah.
So
It's amazing how long it's been.
yeah. Did you like his music?
Yeah, I like both of them, to be
Yeah.
honest. I have been following it for yeah, a long time, and I never thought anything would come out. So I was
Yeah, no, a lot
surprised.
of people.
Yeah,
People are shocked. But the good thing is you can see that video. If you haven't seen the video of the brawl that kind of initiated all there at the
yeah,
MGM Grand, take a look at that. Take
yeah,
a look at all the videos out there and everything, and then you can yourself like I did. I just start piecing it together,
yeah,
and then it makes sense. But but what I don't understand why it took so long,
yeah,
because he's been talking on here for the last at least 6 7 years. It should have been done a little bit sooner,
yeah,
at least after the proffer put it more together. But I think once he moved to Henderson, which is near Las Vegas,
yeah,
and he's talking, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, he shamed them to say, okay, dude, you're right in our backyard now. You're doing all this stuff. You
yeah,
got to go.
yeah, yeah. It's become too much for him.
Yeah, Las Vegas has had some interesting shootouts. That's for sure. That was one in the '90s. There, interesting.
Yeah,
Like, of course, you had the worst mass shooting in U.S. history in Las Vegas back in 2017 at the
yeah,
Mandalay Bay with Stephen Paddock. Right,
yeah. And he had the hotel rooms.
he had the two suites that were joined together adjacent. He had all these assault rifles. Right, he put the bump stock. Well, he put them on it so it shoots like automatic, rapid fire. Right? He had
Yeah,
all that. He had like 30 weapons there. He spent days setting up his suites, and he was a rich guy. He was what they call a whale. I mean, he spent a lot of money, right? They comped him because they would comp him because he spent that kind of money. But he looked
wow.
like, you look at his videos, because everything again now, because so much videos, you can study this and you look at it and you make your own assessment. Obviously, it's scary hotel security because unlike airports, they don't X-ray the bags.
Yeah,
So he would go to his house every other day and bring bags full of weapons, right?
yeah,
And security personnel will help him bring them to his room. So remember that you stay in hotels,
yeah,
they're not checking these bags.
yeah,
So that's something you have to keep in your back of your mind about security and the problems you're having. He snapped whatever reason, still unclear. But when these cowards are confronted, though, he committed suicide. You can see the picture of him, the aftermath after he shot himself. You can see his picture there also. He
yeah.
killed over 60 people at that concert,
That's
sniper style.
crazy.
He was trying to do more because there was a fuel tank not too far. He was trying to shoot the fuel tank to explode the fuel tank. That I think would have been hundreds dead.
Yeah,
That would have been hundreds and hundreds dead. So that was a massive shootout. That's still the worst ever that happened in Las Vegas. And then just recently, last week, I'm not sure if you saw what happened at the UNLV campus, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. That he's been dubbed the Nutty Professor, Anthony Polito. He was a professor from Eastern Carolina University that
yeah,
snapped, right? Went on campus. He had a 9mm pistol. He went to the faculty center, shot three professors, three or four, I think one lived and was going to a student center, but was confronted. He had over 11 magazines, and he was ready to kill more. But the police did the right thing, and they confronted him immediately and stopped the threat and killed him.
Wow.
Unlike in some other times where they wait for the SWAT team and they end up being worse at casualties. At least there's only 4. It could have been a lot worse. If he makes it to a student center and the kids are out there around noontime, they're having a lunch, I think it's the numbers could be close to what happened in Las Vegas.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, everyone packed in that one area.
Yeah, what happened in the strip there, horrible thing. So unfortunately, Las Vegas now has been hit with a few of these, and this is just a reminder of the violence that's out there. It's
Yeah,
like I always say, being retired ATF agent Thomas, you always need a good guy with a gun can always try to stop the bad guy in the gun. Most of the times they do. If you're prepared and willing to use it, you got to be armed. And here, those who are not will be just like shooting fish in a barrel. So
definitely. What advice would you give to people to stay safe?
if you're in that kind of situation, try to get away. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
not armed, obviously not prepared, you're not professional. It's hard not to panic because a lot of people are going to freeze,
yeah,
right? They're going to be like,
yeah,
you take cover, get out of there, protect your family, find exit route, get out of there. Call the police as soon as you can and tell them what's the situation, as much information as you can. Now, if you are armed and you feel comfortable and you're seeing people getting killed, obviously be smart about it and take cover and shoot so that way you're not a victim also. If you can address the threat and help authorities. But a lot of times it's a difficult situation. These guys come in, ready with rifles. I mean, we had a horrible one in Maine a month earlier. Before that, Robert Card. He was a Army Reservist sergeant, a weapons instructor, and he went into the bowling alley and into a bar, and he killed, I think the number's like 16 or 18. So a lot of times it's unfair when they have a rifle. It's an unfair fight. If you have a handgun, he has a rifle. He has
yeah,
distance on, right? So, and he'll even if you have a vest on, without body armor, without plates, it's gonna go right through you.
yeah,
So it's not a fair fight, and unfortunately, everything has in common is not with the gang fight there, but is mental health issues. We have
yeah,
big crisis in this country with mental health crisis going on. A lot of these guys are a perfect example of that. This here with Tupac, that was just payback, gang
yeah,
violence. Almost sent a message. You don't mess around with my nephew like that. And the OG wants to take care of it. He's almost like, if you look at going back to Tupac, if you look at the videos, he seems like he's kind of like proud of it. He really is. He seems like he's
yeah,
proud of it. That he's famous. Yeah, we took care of Tupac, man. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's sad because Tupac has had his issues too, but it seems like he was a guy that liked doing his music. I don't know if you saw his movies. Did you ever see any of his movies?
yeah.
He
He's
did
a
quite
good
a few
actor.
movies. He did his movies. He was a hip hop artist. He's also, I guess, he was also a good dancer.
Yeah,
Also, they were saying, so he was a talent that died in his 20s, snuffed out.
yeah,
Obviously, he should have lost his life. That maybe he should have just been sued. He had money, and maybe the family should have taken care of that in court, where it should have been,
yeah.
right? Not gangster style. Like I said, the rivalry in Compton spilled out that day in Las Vegas, and Tupac paid the price. Yeah,
Gee,
it's a tragedy. Him in existence, man. It's just it never ends. It never ends. There's always something going on. Always something. And no matter where you go, what country you're in, there's always these tragedies. And but
yeah,
Tupac was one of them. But interesting enough, so that's what inspired me to write. Like you said, I've done almost 77 books now.
yeah,
I've slowed down a lot, but I'm also now working a lot doing screenplays for my show based on my book ATF Undercover. It'll be called right now. It looks like being Broken Crowns,
wow,
and I got the software to help me write it because the producer asked me to do it. He was also a director,
yeah,
so it's very good. Final draft. If anybody who's writing it helps you format things, I've been using it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I definitely recommend it. It's up to industry standards. 95% of those who write screenplays use Final Draft.
yeah.
So just look into that. It's not that expensive. I got a good deal for it. So if you're a big writer and that's something you're interested in doing, definitely look into that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be pretty cool that you're writing a screenplay now. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm excited too. Hopefully we can pull it off and at least do the pilot and see where it goes from there. I'm just doing a lot of things. Like I said, when I retired, I still like to write. I'm busy. My family life also that
Yeah,
that keeps me busy, and I like to be. I love to play tennis. Also, the book it's available for this weekend. I'm not sure when this is going to be posted, but the one
yeah,
I told you about sports, politics, and true crime
yeah,
with a dollar bill with $100 bills and the front cover. It's the front story. It's about winning Wimbledon against all odds. So if you're a sports enthusiast or tennis enthusiast or just about a great story, this is fiction. But I played a lot of tennis growing up. I played in college. I was number one for my university. Played a little semi-pro. I love tennis. In Australia, they love their tennis too, and I always followed some of the great tennis greats out there from you know obviously recently Leighton Hewitt, Patrick Rafter,
Yeah.
great players, and then of course back in the '60s, Rod Laver and Newcomb and some great Aussie players, and I've played a lot, and so I talk about an American who overcomes a lot of adversity to become the first qualifier to win Wimbledon.
Yeah.
So I think it's very detailed in the sport, detail in scoring, and detail how the game is played. So if you like that, I think you appreciate what I wrote there. That's super long. I think it's that story is 25. The book itself is almost 200 pages. So then I talk about politics and also talk about true crime. And what I'm doing is eclectic. I'm putting some of my shorts together, which people really like. And I've
Yeah.
also done now books on Audible. ATF
Yeah.
Undercover, my autobiography is available on Audible. And the most dangerous crime syndicates of our time is also on Audible. And I'm hoping to get another one on tyrants and killers coming out shortly for the holidays on Audible. So that's really doing well. Audible books really do well.
Yeah.
People love to listen to books. So I think you like all these topics. I think you'll like my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you got more coming out on Audible then. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff there. And I'm always posting more books free on, and of course, all my books, if you're a KU subscriber, Kindle Unlimited subscriber, all my books are free. So you get a lot to choose from there. And I'm thinking about another one, trying to get other ideas. So I remember we talked about, Bloods and Crips at one time for the
Yeah.
survey. So this kind of fit in nicely. And
Yeah.
we talked about Tupac and the whole thing, how we did it. So this kind of came in nicely the whole way. Said, this
Yeah.
will come in nicely here. This is a good
Yeah.
way, and more people are going to be more interested with the trial coming up too here. I'm
Yeah.
thinking another one, but I'm getting busy with the screenplays, and I'm gonna if we do pick up the pilot, then I have to start writing the episodes,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna be busy doing that. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about maybe another one on. I know I did Psycho Killers. I
Yeah.
think you like that one, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I've done a lot of show. Shout out to Hollywood Wade. We do a monthly show behind the serial killer, right?
Yeah.
And we done a show about these guys, and I think you did a great short on Bundy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's also good, and I think this would be a good one on Tupac. But think about NFL killers, guys who played NFL football,
Yeah.
who later became prolific murderers and serial killers.
Yeah.
You talk about Hernandez, you talk about O.J. Simpson, you talk about I guess some other guy who became Woodson, who played 1 year for the Packers, who became another guy was with a cult and killed people. So I may dabble in that one a little bit. We'll see
Yeah.
down the road. So I think people will like it. And of course, I'm always big on doing organized crime. I've done
Yeah.
different books from the bikies. You call them the bikies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
Hell's Angels, Outlaws, and you have the Banditos, and you have the Gypsy Jokers, and you got some really vicious bad ones out there. And
Yeah.
of course, America, they started out here in the United States, and we've done shows about them. So if you haven't seen some of our shows we've done in the past, check them out, man. We've done some really good shows on one percenters, on the Italian Mafia, on the other groups, the cartels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done
Cartels.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done lots of good ones.
yeah, it's a lot of good shows. Thomas and I have been in some really good shows, and I really go check them out and see what you think.
I want to try and do some more writing, but
Awesome. I hope you do, man. You're a good writer. I know you
yeah.
talked about it, and you should, and you can self-publish and get your books out there and have some fun with it, and then maybe you do
Yeah.
some audibles too.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. When you were in the ATF, when like the
Yeah.
Tupac situation happened back in those days, like did people around law enforcement were they talking about it? Like, oh
I was with Customs then. Yeah, I
yeah,
started in ATF in 2000, and this was in 96,
yeah,
right? I was with Customs in. People talked about it because it was like Las Vegas shooting. I mean, it's like, well, what's going on in Las Vegas? And he was getting big and he was an actor. Sure, people talked about it. I remember that was a big thing, but I didn't really follow that much hip hop, right?
yeah,
So, but people watch the movies. I mean, he did a lot of good movies too.
yeah,
So it was tragic out there. You know how the life is. I mean, like Dwayne Davis said, Kid D, he said we would have missed him if he was in his head, outside the window trying to gain this girl's attention, right?
Yeah,
He was flaring his arms everywhere. I said, "Oh, there he is in the black BMW, and there's Suge driving." They would have missed him.
that's
Maybe he'd still be
crazy.
alive today. But the way these guys live, if it wasn't that day, there would have been another incident. I think
Yeah,
something else would have happened. It's
yeah,
unfortunate that thug life, as they say, that culture they're involved in, especially when you got real gangsters
yeah,
working with you, part of you. That's just like other groups, other bands, like the Rolling Stones having the Hells Angels doing security for the concert in the late '60s, right, in Northern California.
yeah,
Why would you have these guys, one percenters, or organized crime doing that, right? Or
yeah,
other guys using other groups. Anytime you use criminals or guys who are affiliated with criminals, organized crime, nothing good. I mean, I know I helped for street creds to sell records,
yeah.
sell their music, their brand, but then it cost them everything, and that's all gone now.
It's not worth it.
Heck no. That's a lesson we learned. No one's ever glamorizes that. And anybody does that, it's just not right. So it's gonna end up one of two ways: early death or long incarceration. And that's what happened to these guys.
Finish up on a positive. What advice do you have to
Yeah.
someone who wants to, start writing a screenplay or something?
Do
Or
it. Just start writing, man. That's what I say. You don't want to write a screenplay, or you want to write a short, you want to write a book. I think just start writing, get your outline, get your ideas going. Even if you don't like how it looks, just write it. And then you can go back and edit it and go back and fix it and change it. And just do it. I think it's good. And like I said, get disciplined, get a certain time period that you like to write in, and stay in. But for me, it's always, and I've written a lot. I had so many different ideas, and I really enjoyed doing fiction, nonfiction. I think people are going to like. I've done some fiction, mostly it's nonfiction, and my memoir, of course, ATF Undercover, which was fine. I found that interesting, writing my autobiography. Something harder than I thought, but you go back, you want to get it right, the facts and the details. If you do nonfiction, make sure you get your facts right, double
yeah,
check everything, triple check everything, right? Make sure you have good sources, right? And if you're writing fiction, just make sure your characters are how you want them. Go back, look at it, and I think people will like this one with the stuff. And if you also like other things, do some travel books too. That's what I did. I also put some travel books out there too, and I did a few with my daughter, who was at the time 11, kids books too. She helped me
yeah.
with some of the ideas. Those are short kids books that
That's
that we
awesome.
wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah, so a lot of different things. I think it's also it's good bonding if that's something you want to do with your kids too.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I've thought about doing that. Like, it'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll be good. Put you guys in there. So I know you like writing, man. Continue writing. It's a
Yeah,
passion of yours. Do it. Like anything else. The more things you do, the more creative you get. And I think this is awesome what you're doing here with the show.
yeah.
I think you're getting more, variety of guests, which is pretty good. And this is season number 5, going to season number 6.
Because
You still got guys coming in from The Sopranos?
no, not for a while. I haven't.
But you've
But
had some good actors there. I remember I've seen a few. You had some there. You had Larry Mazza too,
yeah,
right? He was authentic. And you had
yeah,
other guys out there. So that's a good variety of show. And I've seen you have some hip hop also. Did you have, I think you mentioned Tupac's brother?
yeah. I had Tupac's brother.
Did you interview him after the arrest or before the arrest with Davis?
Before. Yeah,
Oh, before.
yeah,
I wonder if he has any comments now, if he wants to do a follow up on that, huh?
yeah. Well, I've seen him do one on the news, and he said pretty much the same thing. He said it's interesting that it's taken him so long to do this now.
Well, that's a lot of factors. I put together
Yeah,
why. And
yeah,
read my book, and I put a lot of factors out there and piece it together. And I think part of it also is that they didn't do a good interview with Anderson when Las Vegas Police Department went out there and interviewed him in Compton.
yeah,
That was they didn't come prepared for the interview. They missed out some other witnesses who should have been interviewed,
yeah,
because Compton Police Department pretty much pieced it together pretty much soon after what happened.
yeah,
And even 2008, after the proffer, there was enough evidence, but it just took him running his mouth,
yeah,
running his mouth, running his mouth, running his mouth, eventually, and then writing a book about it. They said, okay, and you moved to Las Vegas and Henderson. Okay, now it's time to go.
yeah. We got you.
Now it's time to go.
Yeah, it's a bit too much. Like, but yeah, no, I'm definitely. I'd say I'm a big fan of Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm sort of, yeah, hopefully get some justice out of it.
good. Well, I think you do a good job with that short I did. I think people are going to like it,
Yeah, for
because at
sure.
the end, like I said, the conclusion wasn't the East Coast West Coast hip hop war that took him down. Bloods and Crips, whose battle spilled in the streets of Las Vegas.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait to. I got some ideas,
Yeah,
so I'll
you know,
have it
and I know
going.
you like hip hop music too, so I
Yeah,
imagine you have some cool music too.
yeah. I'll try and find something for it.
I mean, well, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and Happy Holidays to everybody, and a healthy, good New Year for sure.
Yes.
Twenty
Merry
twenty
Christmas to you
four.
too.
Thank you, man. Thank you. May 2024 be a good, healthy new year for everybody. Everybody's watching. Enjoy the new year, and that to be peaceful. We want a peaceful, hopefully peaceful end in Israel and Gaza, and Ukraine and Russia, and all the hot spots around the world.
Definitely. Yeah, well said. Appreciate you again, man.
Thank you, brother. Enjoy the show. Keep it up, man. I enjoy doing them, and hopefully you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think of the Wimbledon one, since I know you guys love tennis over there too.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'll get onto that as well.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Val.
All right,
Talk to
brother.
you.
All right. Ciao.